Hey everyone, this is the crochet tutorial for the Verity tank pattern. I'm going to be showing you rows 2, 3, and 4, and then we'll work on the shoulder strap. So I want to show you how we're going to be doing the increase to get that angle, which is the signature look of this top. So after you've worked all of your V's, it's going to feel a little strange at first, but just go with it. You'll get used to it. We're going to do it a lot in this pattern, which is working into a side stitch. At the end of your row, you're going to have 2 stitches. Just leave those alone, yarn over, and get ready to do a V-stitch into the side. So these are the last 2. This is the side stitch. Pulled it out just a little bit to demonstrate. Make sure you get both loops on the hook. We need this to be sturdy on the side because our arm chain will be worked along there. In the first row of doing this, it's going to look weird, but it gets easy as you do more. And then go back into that same stitch and finish your V. Turn. As you see in the pattern, we will never chain. When we turn, we will just start working V's into the chain spaces. And let me get to the end of here and I'll show you how we work the end of row 3. I will meet you back. So here I'm coming up on the end of row 3. I've got all my V's and I'm going to work. See my last V stitch, I'm about to finish my V in there. So how we're going to be doing the increase is another V. So I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to go into the side. This is how we will be getting a slant that makes that pretty bodice. Oops, I wanted to point something out before I did this. Make sure you always get both loops. We need this to be sturdy because our arm strap will be worked along the side. So we need it to be nice and strong. Okay, so I did 1 double crochet, single crochet to make that V, second one into that same stitch, making sure I get both loops of that side stitch on here. And I'll do one more row because I want to show you what that side stitch looks like as you are going. It's going to look it'll look wonky as you're working on it because the side you just worked on has to catch up with the side you're coming from, but just trust the process, follow the pattern, and you will get the same result. I'm at the end of row 4 now. And let's see, I've got 1 V to work at the end. There's a V space down here. It's going to start looking a little gummed up a bit because we're not working this in a traditional way. That's okay. Alright, I'm putting my last V in. We're going to look at that side stitch. Okay, last V of this row, and then to do the increase, yarn over, look to the side, and it's going to look slightly down. When you look, it won't be this right here. Look down just a bit, and I see this stitch. Remember, we're not chaining when we turn, so it's going to look a little stretched. That's the stitch we're working in, and we want to make sure to get both loops for that nice strong side for the beautiful shoulder strap. So I'm going to go in and work another V into that side. And pull up. Again, look, and you see we have a nice angle developing on this side, and it's on this side. See, when you come back into row 5, you'll add more here, and again, it's going to angle out or flare out. See, it's coming along. So this is a Aran weight yarn, and I'm using the larger yarn just so that you can see what I'm doing a little bit better than in the DK weight. This is a Hobby Lobby cotton. If you know me, my patterns, my videos, you know I love warm weather yarn because I live in a warm climate, so the majority of what I make is natural fibers. Okay, so I will see you back. I'll probably use my other top to show you how to do the shoulder strap and neckline. Once you've finished both pieces of the bodice, the front and the back, you're going to line them up, and this is where we start the shoulder strap part, and that comes down into the body. So we were careful to make this angle very straight, and what you're going to do is line it up, line them up together, and find where that slope ends and starts going straight down, which I've done here. And I've counted just to make sure on both pieces how many rows down that was, and for this piece it's 12 from this point. And I put a stitch marker in, and that's where I'm going to start what this looks like. So I'm going to show you how to do this and how I keep this shape. Something else you want to keep track of when you're doing this is how many stitches you put here from the start point to the top, so that you can do the same coming back down on this row. And also, because all of my patterns talk about customizing measurements, since I'm such a hard to fit body, that's how I design all of my patterns, is for customization. You want to measure your shoulder as shown in the picture in the pattern, and remember this will stretch a little bit on that first chain that you make, but once you put in all the others around it, it doesn't move really much at all. This is a nice sturdy stitch. So for me it was 13 inches. I'm 5'11", so I would imagine yours will fall somewhere between 8 inches and 14 inches unless you're very, very petite, say under 4'11" or over 6'1". So measure that, and then when you do your chain after the single stitch, you'll know how long it needs to be as it loops around over here. Okay, so let's get started working this shoulder strap. Alright, so now I'm going to join these two together in the spot that I marked. I've counted about 12, I think it was 12 rows down on each side, so that I'm starting at the same place, finishing at the same place, and keep that stitch marker in there. Keep it on the side that you're coming back to because it's going to get in the way. So I put one single crochet right where I'm bringing the two halves of this together. Keep your tail out, don't try to weave it in as you go if that's your typical way of doing things, because it's going to show, especially with a contrasting color. So I'm going to single crochet up the side, just like you would do a border with anything else. You start with that single crochet. Most of us, this is one of our least favorite things to do, but it creates such a beautiful finish, even on a dishcloth. And since I know from doing my other side that it was 43 stitches based on the size I made, I'm going to do 43 on this side as well, plus the stitches for my shoulder. So let me count my 43 and I will meet you back. Alright, so I've done my single crochet up the side, my 43, and then now I've also done the shoulder chain. It's going to connect, loop over the shoulder and come back on to the back piece. Or the front, this won't have a side in particular. And for me, that was 62. Again, I'm 5'11", so that's the right amount for me. And after, coming over the shoulder, that's what this chain does, I'm going to start my next 43 single crochets down this side. Oops. It's a starting chain, it's not stable. Put it right there. And just keep single crocheting. And I want to make sure my chain is not twisted because I'm going to be working it. Let me see where I do that. And it looks like there's a little twist, so let me take that out. There we go. Hook in, hook in. Yarn's on the wrong side. Go around. Learn from what I'm doing here so you don't do it too. Or so that you're mindful of it too. Keep that chain straight. No crooked straps on my watch. Okay, pulling my single crochet through, and there we go, it's attached. So that's one. I'm going to work my way down and get my other 42 in here. 3, and I'll meet you back at the bottom. Okay, so now I'm back at the bottom where I started. You can see it's starting to look like a garment now with a strap on it. So we will do several passes around to make a strap and to make that nice striking contrast. So I'm going, oops, don't want to lose my little loop there. I'm going to take out the stitch marker, but don't go far. So I'm going to bring together that very first stitch. I'm going to work right into it. And on this row, I'm going to slip stitch. And then work my way around again. You don't have to count anymore. Let me do one stitch first. And then mark where that slip stitch was, because that will be the center point going forward. And how many times you go around is going to depend on, one, personal preference, of course, and also proportion. You want to keep that in mind. So if you're very petite, you're making a small size, and your strap is not quite as broad as what I've made, that's up to you. I like it to be at least broad enough to cover a bra strap. This is not something you can wear without a bra because it's a little bit of open weave. I don't mind my skin showing through or a nude color bra showing through. That doesn't bother me in the least, but if you want to wear a nude camisole under it because you want a little bit more modesty, certainly you can do that, but you want to keep in mind that your strap should be thick enough for how you're going to wear it. Alright, so I'm going to work my way around, and I will meet you back on the second pass and show you how the that V is worked on this garment. So at this point now I've done my chain up the front side, or the first side. Then I've chained my shoulder strap, my base chain, which for me is 62 chains to equal the 13 inches of the measurement I made. Again, I'm 5'11", so mine's going to be a little bit longer. And then what you want to do when you go to attach this onto the back piece, make sure that your chain is straight. So I'm just going to feel all along the chain and see if there's a twist anywhere. Get to the bottom. Now it's straight. Put my hook back in and connect it. Let's see, I'm going to go in slowly. And do a single crochet to start on the back part of the bodice. Then I'll work my way down and do another 43 like I did on this side, single crochets till I get here. So I will meet you at this end. Oops, at this end. Okay, I've worked my stitches and I'm here at the end where I started, or rather the base. And you can see now it's starting to look like a garment. So the first pass around, the first of several, I will just slip stitch, remember we have the marker there, into the first chain that I did. Well, let me take this out for now because it's blocking. Stitch markers are great, but they get in the way sometimes. Okay. Here's my first stitch. Slip in there. Whoops. And then I'm going to chain all the way around a single crochet, including the strap. So I'm going to start working the strap will build outwards from here, just like it did on this side. See, I have my starting chain was there. That starting chain wrap came up here, around back, and then it went outwards. And I will show you how to do the V that I create here when I come back around on this second pass, so that you can get this smooth line as well. I've worked my way all around my second row of the frame here, and I want to point out a reminder again, make sure that the strap stays straight as you come around and attach it, so that you're coming to this outer edge that's going this way as you crochet. So down here, let me mark my little spot where I am. I am at the one stitch before the center stitch, and this is where I'm going to do my put 3 stitches together, or single crochet 3 together. I'm also going to change the stitch marker because it's too bulky for what I'm doing, and use a safety pin. They work great as stitch markers. So this is what you're going to do from now on as you work in this round. Go in to that first single crochet, pull up 1, go into the center where the pin is. I have to take this out for right now. Keep it close to put it right back. So I have 2 loops on my hook now. I'm going to go into that center anchor. Oops, I think it went in a little too much. In there. So it's generally going to be really tight right there. Pull up a 3rd loop, and then the one directly after it. Pull up another loop. So I've got 4 on my hook, and I'm just going to pull all the way through. Put those 3 together, and then just keep going around again. But before I get too far, I want to take my safety pin and mark that center stitch. Oops. Just so that I'm always doing that 3 together in the same spot to make the smooth V up to the top. And this I have a stitch marker holding this stitch so that when I go to close it up, I'll know where it is. I haven't decided if I want to do a couple more bands on here, but I'll look at that when I get it done, just to look at the proportion Okay, so I'm going to go around again and I'll show you one last time the 3 together on my 3rd row. And I've finished my 3rd time around, and I'll show you again. So here's that center stitch, it's my anchor. So I'm going to chain together the 3, the one before the center stitch and the one after, to get this V shape. So let me do a single crochet right before the first of the 3. Is that it? Carefully. Yep. Alright, so I'm going to pull up 1. It's tight down here. One loop, and then go in to the center stitch. So now I have 3 loops, and then the stitch immediately after. So now I have 4. Pull my yarn. Whoops. Alright, let's do that again, Stephanie. 1, I'm at an angle so you can see what I'm doing, and I'm not doing it correctly. Okay, where's my center stitch? Where the pin is. And then the one directly after. Pull the yarn through. Let's get this through this time. There we go. So that's the 3 stitches together. Do a couple finishing, and then I'll show you how it should be looking at this point. This will go pretty quickly once you start getting into your rhythm. I did my other side in a single day, and I did maybe 10 passes around. Okay, see how it's starting to make that V like I have on the other side? Put my hook in there so I don't lose my place. Then you go around as many times as you need, as is proportionate to your garment. And I'll just keep up with my single crochet all the way around. And next we will be doing the final finishing touches.